Okay, folks, no, you have not tuned into the wrong show. This indeed is American Diggers Relic Roundup, and it is I, Butch Holcomb, host of American Diggers Relic Roundup and also publisher of American Digger Magazine. And of course, as always, I'm joined by Mr. Jeff Lubert over in Colorado, my co host. Are you there, Jeff?
I am. Thank you very much, Butch. I am Jeff Lubert talking to you out of Denver, Colorado. I am also a board member of Eureka Treasure Hunters Club, and you can find out more about our club by going to our website at www.eurekathc.com. Well, I tell you what, Butch,
Yeah.
we got another pre-recorded show tonight, so
Yes,
we're not
we
going to
do.
be taking any callers tonight. So you know what? If you want to call in, you can sit there and dial all you want, but just hang on the line because we'll get back to you next week.
That's exactly right. Just our operators are standing by because we're too cheap to buy them chairs. Jeff, people are really wondering why we had that intro music. That's by They Might Be Giants, and I'm not going to exactly say yet, but all I'm going to say is it has to do with our guest. Isn't that correct?
That is very true. Very fun guest tonight, and I'm
Uh-huh.
pretty excited to have him on.
Absolutely, and we'll be getting to him in just a minute. But I heard you went out and did a ring search today, Jeff. Were you successful with it?
Unfortunately, not. The young lady took off her wedding ring and her engagement ring in the car to put on some hand lotion. Hopped out of the car in a parking lot and didn't realize they were gone. She went back and found her wedding ring later on that night. Luckily, she found the wedding ring, which has the large diamond.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, the wedding band itself is gone. I'm going to go back and work with them a little bit later just to test a couple of rings just to see, if maybe it fell off in the car. I'm going to have them put them on her lap wearing the same clothes that she was wearing and then get out of the car a dozen times and see what actually happens. If it falls off in the car a few times, there's options that it's in the car, and we're just going to end up taking the car apart.
So it's kind of like Colorado CSI.
It really is.
Wow.
Well, that's part of it. Sometimes some of these rings, who knows where they end up. I have had a lady before who did exactly the same thing, and I searched a couple grass islands that she had to cross to go to a store one time. Didn't find it. Her husband and I searched that car for 45 minutes that night, too. Didn't find it. The next day, the guy actually took the seats out of the car, did not find the ring. 3 weeks later, she was riding in the car. She looks down. The ring was between her feet.
Oh, my
So
God.
crazy things happen, and sometimes rings just kind of show up. Sometimes they don't. But I just tell people not to give up hope.
Well, Jeff, I'm good at hunting in all situations, and I think you are too. But how in the heck do you tune a metal detector to find something inside of a car?
Boy, I tell you what, you use flashlights, use your eyeballs, and that's about all you can do.
Aye.
Yeah.
Was this
And
was this at a paved parking lot where she dropped it?
Yeah, she was at a mall actually, and she got dropped off in front of some,
Well, Jeff,
in front of it.
I would just like to ask you, since you just go out and don't really need a metal detector, can I have your metal detector? Because you ain't going to do any good metal detecting in a parking lot. I mean, how you going to dig, man?
Boy, I tell you what, that was one of the things I told him. Was like, you know what, the metal detector is not going to do us any good out here in these parking lots and the
No.
sidewalks because of all the reinforcing that's in there nowadays.
That's exactly right.
So-
But no matter how you did it, you do get out there and help people find the rings, and that's a very, very noble cause, my friend. Very good.
Well, I give them all the effort I give. It doesn't matter if it's a $10 ring or a $30,000 ring. I give them 110% every time. So.
Well, that's a good thing, man. Those good deeds will come back to you, I promise.
Well, I hope so. I'm putting out as much good karma as I can put out.
Well, I obviously have been putting out some bad weather karma here because it's been so blasted hot. I can't get out with a detector. I mean, it's just roasting here in Georgia, USA, for all of our overseas listeners.
And that's another thing. You know what?
Yeah.
We do have listeners all over the globe.
We do.
Those that are listening in Germany, Italy. I guess we actually have
Australia.
some listeners in South Africa,
Bunch in
Australia, New
Australia.
Zealand, all across North America, of course. Thanks for listening in. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, right. And what they do generally is listen to our recorded broadcast, Jeff. But I want to put out a little plug for American Digger magazine. There, we got our first article submitted from Australia this past week. So looks like we're going to get a few articles from down under. We of course have had some gold in there before that people have found, but not a true article. So man, are we going to have to change the magazine to World Digger, I guess, because American Digger's just not even cutting it anymore?
It is not, but that is, once again, the popularity of the magazine, and it just shows that there's tremendous quality there.
I am a proud papa.
And that's why I have been a subscriber since day one, literally. So
yeah, that's right. And man, let me tell you, you and all of our listeners out there, if you've got issue 1, you've got something worth $40 or $50. But don't sell it. Hey, keep it. Even though it was probably the worst of all the magazines, which is true of every first edition magazine I've ever seen. All magazines get better after the first edition. So.
And it started out good, so that lets you
it did.
know something.
That was good. That was a good thing. Oh man, quit it! You're making it where my hat won't fit my head anymore. Jeez.
Well, you're gonna have to get new headphones then.
Hey, yeah, that's right. Well, I tell you what, Jeff. If you want to, why don't we go ahead and bring on our guest, because we're even without the callers tonight, we're going to have a lot of fun. Before we even get going, I want to say that when I watched this guy's videos, it reminded me of myself, and that just scared the crap out of me. Because when you get two people with my sense of humor in the world, then you're probably going to have problems. But the guy has tremendous fun metal detecting. He does a lot of hunting in the World War II battlefields, which I really like, as well as old Roman stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I tell you what, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and bring on our guest, and it will also tell everybody that this is why we use the intro music to begin with, is this tends to be his theme song. So why don't you bring him on, Jeff?
All righty. Well, tonight we have a special guest. Like Butch was saying, it's a younger Butch, thinner Butch, but the same sense of humor. But we actually have on tonight Mr. Deep Digger Dan. Are you there, Dan?
I am here.
Hey, Dan.
And in case you couldn't tell, yes, he is from England. So
I feel very sorry for you if you were anything like me, Butch. I really do.
I tell you, it's what I tell people about people like me and you, Dan, is, and me and Dan are saying this together as far as I'm concerned, go ahead and laugh, folks, because one day you may have a son that grows up to be just like us. So we'll get that last laugh.
And I must say, Dan, Butch was, or like you, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years ago.
Hey, watch what you're saying, man. Jeez.
I was just thinking, at least I have got time to change before I get to Butch's age.
You have not been ruined yet, but Dan, do not change. Keep the course. Keep the course, man. Somebody has to do this.
I've only been on for 1 minute, and I think I've upset Butch already.
Oh, what's that?
I'm sorry, Butch.
What?
I think I might have upset you already. I've only been on 1 minute. If I'm like you in 20, 50, 80 years' time, I'll be very happy.
If you're like me in 80 years' time, man, you're going to be very, very decrepit. No, Dan, I'm not easily upset by things like that. I metal detect and have fun doing it, and if it means poking humor at myself, I don't mind doing that. And if it means poking humor at the people with me, I'll do that too. I've had many a laugh at Jeff's expense, and he's had many at my expense. And that, to me, that's what makes all of this fun. So,
I completely agree.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, you know what? If you want to know about Butch's sense of humor, you can go out and purchase or go read the book, Never Mace a Skunk or Never Mace a Skunk 2.
And there is a third one in the works too, and it's all the goofy crap that happens to us, Dan.
Never what?
Oh, man.
Never eat a skunk.
Never mace a skunk.
Oh, never mace a skunk. I thought he said never eat a skunk.
Well, that's good advice, too, actually. Yes. Never eat or mace a skunk.
I've
So,
never
Dan-
seen a skunk, and I never will.
No. Oh, come over here, man. We'll introduce you to him. You just sit there and say, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty," until he turns his tail towards you, and then reach out and pet him. And then don't expect your buddies to hang around with you for the rest of the day because you will stink.
I can guarantee if I saw a skunk, I would be trying to get it on my knee and stroking it.
That
I don't
would,
care how that
there's your
smells.
next video. There it is.
It will happen. If I come to America and I find a skunk, I will be doing that.
We'll fix you up. Jeff, do you have skunks in Colorado?
We definitely do.
Deep Digger Dan will be giving a visit to your hometown soon.
Well, he's always welcome.
I'm not invited to you, Butch.
Oh no, you can come over here too. But when you come over here, we'll
I'm
go dig Civil War things.
Butch. I'm quite welcome to go to Jeff's and find a skunk, but not to come and find one at Butch's.
Well,
no.
they're kind of
He doesn't want me.
endangered species here. We like to eat them. Oh,
Yeah,
Jeff, you better take this over before I just get myself too deep here.
Well, you're only ankle deep, but unfortunately you went in head first.
Yeah, well, why don't we haven't even told anybody who Deep Digger Dan is, although I'm sure the world knows and has seen his videos, and if not, man, you are missing out. But why don't you give a brief bio on Dan there, Jeff?
Well,
let him do it.
I'd say Dan actually would be the best one to give his own
he
bio.
would, yes. Give us a little bit of information about yourself, Dan.
I'm the worst person to give that. Basically, I am a metal detecting, history hunting fool who just likes to have a lot of fun and record everything. That's how I would summarize myself.
That's very good and to the point because, if you go out to YouTube, and I suggest all our listeners do, go out to YouTube, check out Deep Digger Dan's, channel. Boy, I tell you what, there's a good batch of humor in there, along with some good finds along the way as well. And I tell you what, Dan puts together some nice videos. I'm definitely impressed with his quality of production and definitely the sense of humor. Because I tell you what, the other day I actually took some time out of work and I actually watched a couple of Dan's videos, and I literally had myself chuckling out loud during work, and people were looking at me like, "What the heck are you doing?" Because I had my headphones on, people couldn't hear what was going on. So,
very kind of you to say so. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I've been over to England and Scotland and hunted a few times myself, and definitely enjoy it. And to have someone like you to go out hunting with would just actually make it even a better trip, because every time I've been over there, it's been pretty serious about the hunts, and I was very limited on my time. So
exactly, it's very, very serious. The whole hobby is just far too serious.
Amen.
People need to lighten up and enjoy it.
Amen.
It's not a library.
If it's not fun.
We're not in a library.
Yeah, make it fun.
We're in a field trying to find things. It's not a library. Let's just all have fun. If it's not fun, why do we all bother doing it in the first place?
that's exactly the point Butch and I have been trying to put out there for the last 4 or 5 years. If you're not having fun,
That's
why
right.
do it?
Heck, I've been putting it out for 45 years now, because even from the beginning, I was known to. I was very serious about my digging, but the people that went with me were generally having a good laugh too, because I have fun when I go out digging.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they always.
Sorry.
I was say they always say that laughter is the best medicine, and you know what? If you had a bad week at work or a bad day at work, and you go out and with some friends and you're out yucking it up, even while you're digging, what could be better?
That's
as far
right.
as I'm concerned?
I mean, laughter is the best medicine, and we're some pretty sick people. So there you go.
So Dan, how long have you actually been out with metal detectors? How much experience do you actually have?
2.5 years now.
What
Wow.
have you found
Not
in
very
that
long.
2.5 years? A lot.
Sorry?
I know. I was chuckling thinking of all that you have found in those 2.5 years. I know that you found a ton of World War II relics and a gold coin, and just all kinds of things. There are guys who've been hunting for 40 years that would love to have some of your finds. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been very, very lucky in being in the right locations, and as you just said, I've been very, very lucky. It's not because I'm a good metal detectorist. It's because I've been very lucky to be in the right places. I think it's what I have managed to achieve in them 2.5 years is a dream for any metal detectorist, and I'm very honoured to have gone through that.
So did you start recording, videoing those detecting trips right off the bat, or did it take you a little bit to actually get started doing the recording?
No, I started recording from the very first moment I picked up a metal detector, and I've recorded every single hunt since. I've never ever been out without videoing. I've videoed everything.
Now, for me, I find it hard to do video while I'm detecting, because when I'm out detecting, for one thing, when I do actually do videos, it seems like I have the worst hunts ever. So I've never really produced any videos, because literally I'll be out hunting and find like one item in 8 or 10 hours of detecting. So I always find it kind of like a black cat for me. But do you find that it interferes with your time of detecting, or is it just another portion of you and that's how you roll?
No, because I've never known any differently. I've never done it without videoing, so I don't know any other way. I don't know what it would. I'm sure it would be fantastic to not video and just get on with it.
But then it's just too darn serious again. I mean, then that's not Deep Digger Dan.
Yeah. And to be honest, when I started, I never started out to try and be this comedian, this fool. I started out trying to be serious, but as I got more relaxed with the camera, and from the comments on YouTube, on the videos, I just seemed to relax a bit more, and more of the humour came out, and it just became more and more fun. But yeah, when I first picked up a metal detector and a camera, I really wanted to do it seriously. There was no intention to try and be funny.
But that natural sense of humor came through, and people started enjoying it, and then why not let it go? So,
how many videos?
If you want to call it humour, I don't think it's humour. I think it's just sarcasm.
But it's funny. You are talking to a man that loves to laugh, Dan, and I guarantee you I laughed at the videos I watched. So keep it up, man. I love it.
Well, not that.
I do seem to get on very, very well with Americans. They seem to get my humour. They really do. Much more than the British people.
Well, you bring up an interesting point there, because, and don't mean this as an insult for any of our British listeners, because I know we've got a lot, but British humor has always seemed different from American humor, and I had more of a hard time laughing at the typical stoic British humor that I used to see on public TV and all. Whereas watching you metal detect, it's your sense of humor is exactly what us Americans have. So I don't know if that's good or bad for you, but we love it.
So basically, what you're saying is I'm a little bit like Bart Simpson, but I'm also a little bit like Scooby-Doo.
That's it, Scooby-Doo.
Yabba dabba doo.
Oh man, jeez. How many videos have you recorded, Dan? Do you have any idea? Well, I guess you do, but how many have you recorded?
On YouTube, I've got about 230, 240 now.
My God. Oh. Okay. Didn't mean to step on your toes there, Jeff. I just had to know how many you had out.
Well, and then that's a great question, though. Lets you know how big the library is out there of Dan's work. And do you actually do your own editing, or do you have a friend that edits out your videos for you, or?
No, I do it all myself, but I'm not very good at it. I've got a very bad computer. I don't have good cameras. I just I think I do the. I don't think I do bad for the equipment I've got. Let's put it that way.
Well, I don't know. I look at your, the production on your videos,
I
and
think it's excellent.
I'm actually impressed because, you know what, I sit here and work on computers all day, every day, in the field that I'm in, and there's no way I could produce a video with the quality that you put out there, with the introductions, the sound. It seems like you've done very well on your productions, and I'm impressed. So
I've got it. I know what I want to do. I know exactly what I want to do. And I don't. I think I get the order right. It's just I just wish I was a professional. You get these kids who just know computers from birth now. I didn't have that. Neither did you two guys, because you're both far, far older than I am.
Jeff's
and
really old.
I've just learnt it all myself. I really wish I was maybe 25 years old and I knew how to edit better than I do. I just do the best I can, and it is getting better. But yeah, it's acceptable. Let's put it that way. But I'm at the stage now. I really want them to look really professional. Like TV documentary professional. But I'm just not capable of doing it.
Speaking of TV, have you been over here in the States? We tend to, well, here at American Digger in particular, we get a call about 2 or 3 times a month from a production company that's looking for people to film a pilot show with them or to bounce ideas off of or whatever. And we generally steer them in the direction of people that want to do that. But have you been contacted by any TV companies or production companies for what you do?
Yes.
I figured you
I
had.
think I'm up to about 33 companies have contacted me so far, and none of them have gone anywhere.
Uh-huh.
Either I want different things. Basically, these are the people who make the videos, but they then have to sell it to the networks. And that's where it falls down. They want me. They're all excited about me. They get my hopes up, and then they approach National Geographic, History Channel, Travel Channel, Discovery, whoever, and they don't get a contract with them. So it just falls down. So it's not happened. I'm still in talks with one over here in the UK at the moment, and it's quite, we're quite far in discussions, but whether it will happen or not, I don't know. I'm not holding my breath because I've been let down so many times before,
Well, yeah, you know exactly what that business is, and that's been our experience. I mean, there was the one that got everything going, the American Digger Show, which, God help us, we didn't have enough control over that, and that really, I wish we could take all of that back again. But what we have learned from most of these production companies is that's exactly what they do, Dan. They come out, and this is for our listeners, too. Sooner or later, you're going to be contacted probably by someone who claims they're going to make you a star. What they're going to do is take some pilot footage of you and try to sell it. And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to sell. So like Dan said, don't get your hopes up over it. However, Dan,
Exactly.
That being said, I would love to see your humor on the big tube. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as I say, it's been over 30 companies now. I'm still talking to one and it's going well, but it's not the be-all and end-all anymore. There's more to what I'm trying to achieve than TV. I'm not out to be famous.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't what I'm about. Enough. I'm just out to try and make a living from what I'm doing, and I'm getting there. Gradually it's getting better and better and better. And if TV happens, fantastic. If it doesn't, it's not a problem. I'm heading in the right direction anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're doing what you love.
Let's say, where do you do most of your hunting at, Dan?
What, now?
Yeah.
I generally have trips. Where I'm living, it's very hard to get permission to detect anywhere. I'm right next to the beach, but I never ever find anything on the beach. So I go on trips. I've been up to Scotland. I've been to France and Germany again this year. You know, I travel. I go to wherever I'm invited, and basically, as long as it's not where I am, it's rubbish.
Have you done one in the United States yet?
I haven't.
Ah,
I did get married. I did get married over there.
Oh well.
In Florida, but and I absolutely adored it. And I said at the time I'd love to like retire there one day.
Uh-huh.
But no, I do really want to get to America, and I'm going to try my best to get there next year. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll definitely be there in the next 2 years.
Get in touch with us, and maybe we can hook you up with someone, or ourselves for that matter, and on some American Civil War relic hunting.
Yes.
It's not as old as some of the stuff you get over there, obviously, but it's definitely got its place. So we love it.
No, it definitely fascinates me. It's like my mentor, if you like, is Bo. You know, Aquachiga.
Oh yeah. Bo Amet. Yeah, I'm good friends with him. He's great.
He's my favourite metal detectorist. I think he is the best of the best.
Well, that's who you need to hook up with, possibly, because I see you got the Garrett AT Pro in them, and he's got a Pro and an ATX, but those are good for water hunting, so he's good.
Yeah. He did contact me when I was in Germany, and he was like suggesting maybe we do like an exchange trip. He comes over to Germany, and I go over to him, and we hunt together. But then I left Germany, so it didn't happen. But yeah, we still talk a lot, chat a lot on Facebook, but yeah, he's my idol. I'd adore to come over to America and get out with Bo sometime.
I tell you, Dan, to show you how good of a hunter he is and the places he gets into, I've been pursuing this for 45 years now, I guess, most of it looking for the Civil War artifacts. He's found more artillery shells and weapons in 2 years than I have in the entire 45 years. So the guy is good.
Well, I think I saw something on his Facebook today or yesterday. He found something like 12 artillery shells in one day.
He did, and that's 45 for this year. The most I've ever found in a year was maybe 7 or 8. So the guy knows what he's doing.
The guy is amazing, and I saw a video of his. He's got like I presume it's like a cellar in his house, and it's like a museum of everything he's found, and it is amazing. So yes, it's not as old as what we get over here, but I think I speak for everybody in Europe. We can still appreciate that's as good as what we find in America. You know, that's the equivalent. So. Yeah, a lot of respect for him, and Civil War things, we'd all like to find them.
Well, and that's part of it is detecting, it's all relative to where your location is. You know, if you're out in the Old West, you're trying to find stuff from the Old West days. If you're in the East, you want to try and find the Civil War stuff. If you're in, Australia, they have a nice, middle to late 1800s, history there, along with some good gold. So you try and find stuff relative to the location that you're in. So if you're in the beaches in Florida and that aren't old historic beaches, you go out and you try and find those lost items, recently lost, whether they're rings or coins, or if you're on the Civil War grounds, and you try and find the Civil War era stuff.
Exactly. Now I'll tell you a little story. Somebody put a challenge out to me in one of his videos the other. This might take a few minutes. I'm sorry.
I tell you what, Dan. Before we do that, let us go ahead and go pay some bills, and we will be right back to you because we definitely want to hear that story, folks. We've got Deep Digger Dan on the phone from across the pond, and we will be right back after these words from our sponsors.
DNR Studio, the producers of Phil Lay's Civil War CDs, Campfires and Battle Cries, and the new CD, Hardtack and Gunpowder, can mix, master, and produce your CD project as well. visit www.dandrstudio.com for a look at the studio and production facilities and for complete contact information.
Have a great flight, honey.
Oh no, I forgot my American Digger magazine. What am I going to do?
Well, you have internet access, right?
Yeah? Oh, I see. You mean I can read it digitally. Let me go to the website and get a copy right now. Hey, that was simple, and now I can read it on my flight.
Or your destination. I'm not sure they have it on the newsstands in Hong Kong. No matter where you go, there we are. American Digger digital editions available now. Okay, folks, we're back to American Diggers Relic Roundup with our special guest tonight, Deep Digger Dan. And I do want to say this is a pre-recorded show, so there's no need in calling in tonight. But what we're going to do right now is, Dan, I stopped you right in the middle of a story that you were about to tell. Can you go ahead and tell us that now?
Yes, okay. No, I was going to say a gentleman basically set out a challenge in one of his videos on YouTube, saying the coincidence was he was metal detecting a few miles from where I live, and he invited me along, and I sent him a message back saying I can't because I'm back in my hometown, which is, I don't know, 150 miles away, and that's the town he actually comes from. So he'd come to my place, I'd gone to his place, so we were detecting on each other's home ground, if you like. So he set me a challenge. He said, right, let's see who finds the best things today. Who wins? Now, we both found things, and he said he found a Roman coin, a few Roman things, medieval things, very historic things of importance, yeah? I found a gold ring and just lots of coins and a World War II military badge. And basically, he said, who won? So I replied to him and I said, well, I won because I found a gold ring. Value-wise, I won. Age-wise, you won. Okay, are you still following this story?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he replied, he says, well, hang on a minute, metal detecting's all about digging up history. Surely I won because I found a coin from 2,000 years ago. So I replied, and I'm going back to the story we was talking about before. I found the most valuable things, but he found the most historic things. I'd prefer to find what he found. Okay? Because a Roman coin, you can buy them on the internet for $3. You know, they're not expensive, but it's obviously far more important historically. But I had a bit of an argument with him then, because he said the whole idea of metal detecting is to find historic things, and I says no, it isn't. There's a few different kinds of metal detecting. You've got historic metal detecting, and you've got people who just go on the beach to try and find rings and coins. It depends where you are and what you're capable of finding. You know?
Exactly.
Does that make sense? So, yes, we all want to find the historic things, but it doesn't make the hobby simply for finding historic things. There's a place in the hobby for people who are just on beaches in Florida, for example, finding rings all the time.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a great place for that amongst the hobby, and that's part of the fun, I think, is that, you know, there is specialists within the hobby. You know, there are some people that like to do that beach hunting, you know, find the rings, find the coins, and the crazy stuff there on the beaches. And there's those of us that like the historic portion of it. And then there's other people out there that go after the prospecting portion of it. That is, I don't know if you ever tried prospecting with a metal detector, but man, is that tough.
Yeah, no, we don't do that over in Britain. There's not really much to find. Maybe there's parts of Scotland you can find bits of gold and things, but No, it's not well known over here.
Yeah, if you ever get the chance to, you've got to be very, very patient with that because it is a tough part of the hobby.
Yeah.
Those that do it, I know of some people that are very good at it, but yet they couldn't find a quarter in the park. So, that's their specialty, and that's fun. I love the ability to, have the machine to go out and do the water hunting, or to try and do the prospecting, or my preference is, historic stuff. So it's awesome. It's fun.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to get across. We all do it for different reasons, and just because one person is doing it for history doesn't mean somebody else shouldn't be doing it to just find dollar coins. It's each to their own, and metal detectors are not there just to find history. They're there to do whatever the user wants it to do and where they are.
Except for clubbing people on the head. You know what? We don't advise that.
Yes, but it works. It does work.
That's what a shovel's for, Jeff. Jeez.
Very good. That way you don't hurt your metal detector. You can ting them with a spade.
It will void your warranty. So there you go.
Oh, my goodness. So what is your preference to hunt then? Obviously, you said you like historic stuff. Do you like the World War II stuff? Do you like Roman? Or does it just vary from time to time? And you know what? You're going to hunt World War II stuff or World War I stuff or Roman, depending on the day.
I like a variation, but personally, I don't know. I think Roman things are the best thing I could find. It's just the simple age of it. Somebody having that coin in the hand 2,000 years ago, that is just such a buzz, which you Americans can only dream of, and we're very lucky to have that option, if you like.
Yeah, the times I was over there, I did manage to find, I think, about 3 or 4 Roman coins. I did manage a silver hammered coin from the Elizabeth reign, but nothing excessively exciting. But boy, I tell you what, I wouldn't trade those opportunities for the world. That was so much fun to actually, literally, the first time I held that Roman coin, I think I sat there and looked at it for maybe 5 minutes, just sitting there in the field, looking around the field and looking at that coin, going, what occurred 2,000 years ago to actually make this coin here? I don't know. Exactly. It was just a magical experience for me.
Exactly. And I do not understand, and I never will, how you can buy a Roman coin on the internet for $2, $3, $4, but a silver hammered coin from medieval times, there's 1,000 years difference, will cost you maybe $50. Why would something 1,000-year-old cost $50? Something 2,000-year-old cost $3 or $4? I don't understand that. I really don't.
And I imagine it has to do with supply and demand. You know what? There's thousands upon thousands of Roman coins out there, but yet there's still thousands of those hammered silvers too. I just don't understand it as well.
To interject there, I've got a theory on that, and I think it's and not that treasure hunting is bad, but I think it's a little bit of the treasure hunting mentality. Silver is better than copper, period. In some people's mind, if it's not silver or if it's not gold, it's not worth anything. So I think maybe that figures into it too, but I agree that my way of thinking is the older stuff should be the more valuable stuff, and it's not that way.
I don't know, maybe there's more Roman coins, there must be just more in the ground, so that, if you've got 1,000 Roman coins and 100 medieval coins, obviously the medieval ones would be more expensive. That's all I can think of. But why would there be less medieval coins than Roman coins? I don't know. Moving on.
The mysteries of metal detecting.
So, Dan, how often do you actually get out and do some detecting? Do you try to get out every week or every weekend, or do you actually try and get out every day?
No, where I am now, it's just pointless going out every day. I haven't got any permissions to go in fields. If I had permissions for fields, I'd be out every day. I could go out every day, But at the moment, I can just go to the beach every day, and I find nothing. Seriously, I find nothing on the beach. So I've given up on the beach. I now try to just keep it to trips away. When people invite me to their permissions, and maybe 2 weeks out of the month, I'll go for a solid week, and I'll have a week off.
Well, that sounds like definitely getting you some time in. So definitely look forward to more videos coming out. That's for sure.
What is the problem on getting permission over there, Dan? Is there any particular reason that the farmers won't let you in? I know over here in the United States, one of the biggest reasons that the farmer or anyone won't give you permission is they have been pestered to death by other metal detectorists, or they've had night hawkers or night hunters go in. Is it the same way over there, or what are their reasons for not letting you hunt?
Well, the problem over here is you've got to remember it's a small island. It's not as big as America. And there's a lot of metal detectorists, especially where I live.
Oh.
There's hundreds of metal detectorists within like a 50-mile radius. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And it's just every single part of Britain is owned by somebody. So you have to go and ask permission. And they're getting asked by dozens and dozens of metal detectorists.
Oh, yes.
They'll let somebody on the land, and then they won't let anybody else on. They'll have one person metal detecting there, and that's it. So as soon as somebody's got that permission, no one else can do it, basically. And I haven't been here long.
I'd say one of the things that when I was talking with the farmers over there, because there was a couple times when I went over, I literally rented a bicycle in York and went around the perimeter of the town, probably 5 or 6 miles out, and knocked on doors, and they said, you know what, they greatly appreciate me asking for permission, and they wish they could let me out there and hunt. But they said if they let me out there and hunt, they would then get pestered by all the detectors from the area, and then they'd have to let them hunt. And I said, you don't have to let anyone hunt you don't want on your land. But they didn't want to have to go through the hassle of continuously being pestered for permission.
Exactly. I don't know. Do you know Relic Hunting Scotland?
Yes, I actually am a subscriber to their channel as well.
Right, well, that's where not my last trip, I haven't put the videos up of my last trip, but the trip before that, which are the latest videos I've put up, I went up to see him, and he was finding amazing things, and he had permission on this land, and apparently 12 other metal detectorists have asked the farmer for permission in the last month. People watch his videos, see him finding good things, they know where he is, so they just go and ask the farmer, and they just pester the farmers, and it gets on the farmers' nerves. I don't blame the farmers.
Yeah, just like anything else. You know what? The first 1 or 2 or maybe 3 aren't so bad, but after that it gets to be
exactly
a problem. And then there are some people just like here in the U.S. that are a little more aggressive, and they're asking, and they overbearing, and they're right there. They will kill it for anyone else that asks from then on. So
over aggressive? You mean Americans go up to the farmers with a gun?
I wouldn't say they go up there with a gun, but
I thought you all carried guns.
Hey, I tell you what, Dan, you look this up on the internet if you have any doubts, but we live just north of a town which is named Kennesaw, Georgia. It's a very historic town. However, there is a law in Kennesaw that every citizen must own a gun. It's not enforced, but it is a law.
Wow.
I kid you not. So, there you go. There you go. But no, I don't take them with me when I go metal detecting. So, hey, folks, we got to go and pay some bills here. We're going to be right back to our very special guest. We're having a lot of fun with Mr. Deep Digger Dan, and we will be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Join us at Tom'sTreasuresForum.com. They have over 1,400 members and still growing. They have great reference section, useful tips, experienced metal detectorists, and relic hunters to help identify your finds. Membership is free. Join them at http://Tom'sTreasuresForum.com. Hope to see you there.
Eureka Treasure Hunters Club out of Denver, Colorado. We are your Colorado club, whether you're into relic hunting, bottle collecting, prospecting, coin shooting, or arrowhead hunting. Stop by our website at www.eurekathc.com. That's EUREKATHC.com. Click on the newsletter tab to read our latest newsletter and see some of the great finds coming out of Colorado. Also in the newsletter, you'll find information on how to become a member and when and where the club meets, as well as contact information in case you're coming to Colorado and would like someone to detect with. Remember, that is EurekaTHC.com.
Okay, folks, we're back with American Diggers Relic Roundup. We want to remind everyone again, this is a pre-recorded show, so if you want to get over on the chat and talk to all your buddies, that's fine, but otherwise, Jeff and I are taking a night off, and there's no reason to call in because it'll be next week before we answer. Correct, Jeff?
That is correct. We are definitely taking the night off. Although you might end up seeing me on the chat room, I don't know yet.
That's right. Jeff is a man that he's a workaholic, I'm telling you, folks.
So, tell us, do you actually ever come up with any unexploded ordnance over there?
No, never.
Oh, that is good.
Lucky.
I tell you
Well,
what.
that's a silly question. you know I do.
Do
I
you
was
really?
thinking you probably did, but I wasn't going to say anything. Tell us, please, Deep Digger Dan, about some of this ordnance you've uncovered.
Yeah, I've found a lot in Germany. Hand grenades, many bombs. I lost count at 70. About 70 bombs and hand grenades. I don't even know what you call it. Like CNT blocks of explosives. I don't even know what they use them for. But yes, a lot of things.
What do you do when you find something like that? Do you leave it in the ground, or do you take it somewhere, or what do you do?
When I initially find it, I just basically put it back in the hole I found it in. Make sure I know exactly where it was, and just go to the nearest police station. I was quite well known in Berlin in the police station there. They used to laugh at me every time I turned up. It's the Englishman. He's found another English bomb. And I'd go to the police station. They'd give me a couple of policemen, and they'd come with me. I'd show them where it was, and they always made a point of pointing at it and saying, "That's an English bomb from your country." It was quite comical. They were laughing about it. It wasn't anything racist or anything, but yeah, it was quite awkward.
Well, that's where you have to look over at them and say, well, we delivered, and now it's time for you to take it.
That's right. It was a gift.
Oh, my goodness. So, do you actually have any crazy things that have happened on some of your detecting trips, other than obviously the sense of humor?
I suppose the craziest was I was in the forest in Germany, and there was like a line of about 12. I thought they were soldiers, armed soldiers. It was like an invasion again. It was like the World War II starting over again. A line of 12 soldiers covering all my eyesight from left to right. Maybe 500 meter, and they're coming my way, and they had guns, and I was terrified because they had guns, looked like soldiers, and I didn't know what they were doing. So I started running. They ran after me, and they caught up with me. And it turned out they'd found a 250-pound, I think it was, or 500 pounds, I don't know, a very, very big bomb, basically, in the woods. And they were just trying to get everybody out of the woods. But because I don't speak German, and I'd never seen an armed policeman before like that, it did scare me quite a bit. So they chased me, and they treated me like a terrorist, if you like. They thought I just didn't know what to do. It was funny afterwards. We had a good laugh about it between us.
That's actually on your video, one of your videos, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. It is. Unfortunately, I didn't video them chasing me, but yes, I did.
Well,
I
you've
was
got to have
videoing.
your priorities. You know, when you're running that fast, then it's okay to turn off the camera for a little while. Speaking of, well, for that matter, anything, we were talking about World War II type stuff, but we've also talked Roman. What do you consider your best or your favorite find out of everything you found?
Probably my first good find, and this was after I'd only been metal detecting about 2 weeks. It was either the first or second day that I ever went into the woods. After I'd been playing around in the horse paddocks and just getting used to the machine, and then I decided to go into the woods. And on one of my first days, I didn't even know what it was till I got it home and cleaned it, but it was a German eagle. Not small, it was maybe 10 inches long, no, maybe 8 inches, and it was made out of brass, and it was if you can imagine, it turned out it's from about the 1880s, from the German army, and it's what a drummer boy would wear on his waist, on like a belt buckle, and it would hold his drum.
Wow. That is cool. Yeah, I like that.
And that's, for me, that's the most, I don't know, because it's one of my first finds, and because it was brass, it came out in perfect condition as well, once it was cleaned up. That's one of my favourites.
And you know what? Those first good finds that you make always seem to hold a special place in your heart. I remember literally one of my very first finds with my metal detectors, and it was back in the late 1980s, maybe actually early 1980s, was a watch fob. And you know what? I'm holding it right now. I literally have it in my hands.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
I've got a question for you guys. Can you remember the first thing you ever dug up metal detecting?
I remember the first actual artifact I ever dug. Yes, actually, I remember the first interesting thing I found. It was I just gotten my metal detector. It was the first day, and this was back in the '60s. It was a Heathkit metal detector, and there was actually some old saltpeter mines near where I live. So I was out there metal detecting. I got what I thought was a big rock, and there was a signal in it. I took it home. It turned out to be concrete. We busted the concrete up, and inside of it was what had to be one of the first flashlights ever made, probably from the very early 1900s, was encased in the concrete. It wasn't worth anything, but that was the first thing I've ever found, and somewhere I've still got that.
Yeah, it's interesting how you always remember, from when you started. It's like if I find a Roman coin tomorrow, it won't mean so much to me because I've already done it. Right. But when you find your first Roman coin, you never forget it.
Speaking of it from that, like I say, my big love over here is Civil War artifacts. And the first Civil War relic I ever found was a fired Confederate bullet that had been fired from the musket. Since that time, I've dug up probably 10,000 of those bullets, and I still have that one sitting aside separate in a display case, and I always will. It's the first good find I ever made, so it's special to me. And it's worth, on the open market, it might be worth $1. It's, if that, maybe 50 cents. So.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Jeff? Can you remember your first find?
The very first find, probably not. I grew up on a farm in Iowa, and I took that metal detector out on the farm, and I think, I dug up all kinds of farm rubbish while there. But I do remember that very first good item, which was that watch fob.
Right.
I actually can take you probably back to within 3 feet of where that thing was actually found. And like I said, I still have it today. I mean, it's still on one of my displays and proudly displayed at that because it was really my first real good find. So,
yeah.
All of and it's not all the archaeologists, the archaeologists and academics that that say that we go out and dig these kind of artifacts up for money, they're nuts, because we're talking about some of our favorite finds that are worth maybe, $5, $10, something like that. I mean, I don't know, maybe the eagle you found was worth a lot more than that, but if we wanted to make money metal detecting, we would probably go to Rio de Janeiro and go out on the beach and get recently lost gold or something. We're in it for the history. Yeah.
Exactly. There are people who go on the beaches in Florida or wherever, and they find maybe 5 gold rings in a day. And I've got a lot of respect for them, They're making a living from doing that. But that's not why we do it. Most of us, anyway. Yes, don't get me wrong, this is now my job. This is my career. But I make the money from my adverts on my videos. I don't make the money from what I sell, really. That's just a little extra.
Right.
It's not about the money. It's
not. There's
it's about the buzz of the find.
Yeah.
And Butch has said this before. It's like shaking hands with the past.
Yep.
You don't get a chance to get out there and do it very often, but you know what? When you do find that Roman coin, you're touching that thing for the first time that someone's touched it, and whether it be 2,000, 1,500 years, somewhere around there. But think about it.
Yeah.
You're shaking hands with history right there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I've got a question here too, Dan, and I know that a lot of the people we got quite a large audience, and I know a lot of them probably are on YouTube. American Digger's got a few YouTube videos out and got their own channel. But when I started looking at your videos, I was blown away by the absolute numbers that you have. I mean, some of them are, well over 100,000 or even more than that. And is there a secret to getting that many hits and that many subscribers?
It's just pure luck. About 30% of my views are on 2 or 3 videos, and it's like the pulling the pin on the hand grenade videos. Yeah, and you get a lot of kids. They'll find that on YouTube. The thought, teenagers, this man's found a World War II hand grenade and he's going to pull the pin and throw it. I think a lot of my views come from that.
Actually, that sucked me in too. I went to that one.
Yeah, can I just say this though?
Yes, absolutely.
I never actually pulled a pin on any hand grenade. That was all for video. That was all for show. I've never actually done that. I'm not that stupid.
I'm glad you haven't actually done that. I wasn't going to say anything about it except that I probably wouldn't do that. So
no,
it sounds good.
I'm really not that stupid. I am daft, but I'm not stupid.
There is a difference. There absolutely is a difference. Down here in the South, they call people like you and I. We are known as just not right. We're just not right. That's the way we look at it down here. So I taught you a new phrase there, Digger Dan. There you go, your American lesson for the day.
Many people have told me I'm just not right. Trust me.
Oh, geez. Exactly.
And you know what? They were right.
And it's a good thing, Dan. It's a good thing. You and I are brothers from a different mother, I believe, in a different country. So there you go. Jeff. Play the straight man to that, buddy.
I would say you left me speechless there, both of you.
I told you we'd have fun with this. Hey, let me get back to the YouTube here, Dan. What YouTube video has the most hits? What's the most hits that you know of, and what's that video of on your YouTubes?
Of mine, it's the pulling the pin on the hand grenade. I've got that. I believe one's got about 1.3 million views.
That's what I thought. It was over 1 million.
And that's about 18 months old now. But when I went back to Germany this year, I found another hand grenade and did it again. And that's already up to maybe 500,000 views, and that's in a few months, really.
Wow. So, Jeff, to get more listeners, could we get Dan to send you a hand grenade and you pull the pin on the air?
Well, you know what? It'd be a lot less postage if you'd actually send it to you, Butch.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it has to go all the way across the U.S.
I'm not going to really do it, but you're going to think I am. I'll make a big boom, and then I'll take the rest of the night off, and you'll wonder.
I'm not even a comment about you saying boom.
Don't.
That's all
It just
I'm saying.
encourages me.
But that isn't how you get views. Yes, them videos got me a lot of views. How you get people to keep coming back and watch another video is just do something different. You know, people don't want to see the same person doing the same thing in every video. Do something different. You know, add a bit of comedy, add a bit of history. You know, if you're not into comedy, add a bit of history, tell a bit of something about the local area. You just can't keep showing the same video of you digging holes and showing a coin. People get bored of it.
I agree.
And I'm not directing that at you two guys. I'm just directing that at people in general.
I call some of those videos, and there's no disrespect to anyone out there, but those are me videos. In other words, the person is out there going, I'm digging this, I'm digging that. He's telling no history on it. He's adding no entertainment value. It's just like, look at what all I can dig, and you can't. And I find those very, very boring. So I'm glad you're doing it like you're doing it.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's okay for some people because a lot of people do it just for their soul. It's like their library, if you like, so they can look back on it. And people do watch the videos. They're not doing it to impress people. Some people are not doing it to impress people, but then they start moaning that they're not getting many views.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is if you do want a lot of views, you need to do something different.
Yeah, and I think
Great.
part of it, you know, some of these people are actually doing it instead of doing like a journal and writing down what they found. They're basically using their videos as their journal.
Exactly. And it's easier to do.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with what they do at all. All I'm saying is if you want a lot of views, that's not going to get you a lot of views. If you want to do it as a journal, then you're doing the right thing, if that makes sense.
Yep. And to each their own, just like each type of detecting. You know, that's your
Exactly.
thing. That's your thing. Great goal.
We haven't fallen out. We haven't disagreed on anything yet.
I know.
That's crazy, isn't
I
it?
told you,
We had
man.
an argument.
I told you.
How are we going to get listeners if we don't have arguments and debate and all this
Well,
angst amongst us?
Jeff, I tell
You
you
got
what.
Deep Dan on. We should be arguing. We should be having a party. Something should be happening.
Oh, I'd rather laugh than have controversy. So there you go. Although my laughter does bring controversy sometimes, hey, that's just the way it is.
Yep.
And I tell you, Dan, when you come over here, I'm hoping that you and Water Chigger can hook up and do some digging. And when you do, I'm going to get Bo to put me on speed dial because by God, I'm coming up there with you guys, and we're going to record the most bizarre, laughable video ever seen in the world. So there you go. Okay, would you believe we are out of time, guys? My God, it flies so quick. Yeah, Jeff.
I would say, Dan, why don't you give out some quick info again about your YouTube channel or anything else you'd like to put out there quick?
How quick?
Well, we got a couple minutes.
We got a couple of minutes. Hey, it's not like we're working for someone else here. Well, we sort of are, but not really. So we got time. Go ahead.
No, all I'd like to say is I've got a book coming out. It's like an adventure book. It's a fictional book. It's not a true story. A fictional adventure book. I haven't written it, but it's about Deep Digger Dan. Someone contacted me called Jason Tipple, and he's written a book, a big, long novel. That will be out in about 4 weeks. It's only going to be an ebook available on Amazon and things like that. But people will be able to see how they can order that. I think it's going to be $5, which I don't think's too bad.
So that's cheap reading.
Cheaper than never.
It is for the amount of pages. There's also in the pipeline. There's another book which is going to be like basics of metal detecting, which I'm doing. Basically, because I get so many questions off people on which metal detector to buy, where to metal detect, how to get permission, things like that. So that's coming, I don't know, a few months. I don't know when that'll be ready. That's about it. Deep Digger Dan's shop, if anybody wants to buy some of the things I've found. I've got that website, deepdiggerdanshop.com. And that's about it, really. Just go on my YouTube channel and follow me.
I say definitely go out there and check out
Absolutely.
Deep Digger Dan on YouTube, because I tell you what, there is hours of entertainment there just to sit back and watch. And let alone, like I said, is it just humorous, but that Dan actually makes some really good finds, and he really gets you pumped up to ready to go hunting. So,
and I'm very sexy as well, if there's any women listening.
I'm not even going to comment on that. Jeff, do you have any words for that?
Just laughing.
Jeff,
laughing.
Are you blushing?
Yes, but if there's any women listening, they can't see what I look like. It's just a radio show. They need to look at my videos, see what I look like, and I'm really sexy. And I'm single.
I'm too sexy for my detector. Jeez,
all right.
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
folks, we have had a wonderful time here talking with Deep Digger Dan, and I tell you what, Dan, let's do it again sometime, man.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Well,
I'm always available.
Check him out on YouTube, the Deep Digger Dan channel on YouTube. You're not going to be sorry. You're going to enjoy it, and I guarantee you're going to laugh. And, folks, with that being said, I want to say thank you on behalf of American Diggers Relic Roundup, American Digger Magazine, and myself and co-host Jeff Lubert. Good night. May God bless you. And Deep Digger Dan. And may God bless you and keep your coil to the soil always.
Okay, that concludes tonight's show of Relic Roundup. Hey, Butch, why don't you grab your mandolin and play us on out of here? Tune in next week, everybody.